There are moments in boxing, rare, unforgettable moments, when everything stops. When the noise fades, the heartbeat slows, and the story changes. Not just for the fighters in the ring, but for the entire sport. You can't always predict them, but when they arrive, you feel it. Deep in your gut. In your chest. In the quiet seconds between bell chimes and breath. July 25, 2023, inside Tokyo's Ariake Arena, was one of those moments. But oddly enough, the loudest echo didn't come from Japan. It came from across the ocean, from the streets of Philadelphia, through barbershops and gyms, to the core of American pride. Because that night, the story wasn't just about a fight. It was about identity, expectation, and the raw truth that sometimes, even the king can bleed. Stephen Fulton, Cool Boy Steph, was the man. No asterisk. No fine print. Undefeated. Unified. A product of the Philly Fight Factory, carved from that same granite as Bernard Hopkins and Joe Frazier. He had that chip on his shoulder, the kind you don't buy or build. It's given to you when you grow up in a place that doesn't hand out soft landings. He walked like a champion. He spoke like one too. He wasn't just holding belts, he was holding the moment. And the belief was almost universal. This was going to be another notch, another name, another win. Then there was the other guy. The one they called the monster. Naoya Inoue. He didn't enter like a storm. No fireworks, no screaming entourage. He moved like a breeze before the thunder, silent, but with a weight you could feel. He didn't taunt, didn't predict knockouts, and didn't wave flags. He just stared. And if you paid attention, that stare said everything. It said, I'm not here to be famous. I'm here to take what's mine. But in the weeks leading up, the murmurs started to grow. For the first time in his career, Inoue wasn't the favorite. People talked about weight, how moving up from bantamweight to super bantamweight would finally expose him. They said Fulton was too big, too slick, and too seasoned. American slickness, they called it. A style, a swagger, a skill set that outsiders just couldn't figure out. The experts nodded. The analysts circled the same talking points. Even fighters weighed in, casting doubt on whether Inoue could rise again. He had never faced someone like Fulton, they said. And for once, the monster was supposed to meet his match. But monsters don't meet matches. They rewrite the script. The face-off was a study in tension. Two men standing inches apart, not moving, not blinking. Fulton tried to shake him, leaned in, whispered words no microphone caught. But Inoue just looked. Just measured. Just waited. Because while Fulton brought his voice, Inoue brought silence, and silence, sometimes, is more terrifying. When the bell rang, the energy inside the arena wasn't chaos. It was curiosity. It was as if the crowd, both in Tokyo and around the world, held its collective breath, waiting to see if Inoue, the mythical destroyer of lower weight classes, would finally fold under real pressure. The opening round was tense. Fulton came out sharp, like he had something to prove. His jab was crisp. His movement was calculated. He fought like a man who knew what he was doing. And he did. He earned those belts. He wasn't just showing up, he was here to dominate. But Inoue wasn't playing chess. He was scanning, processing, reading data. Every step Fulton took, Inoue mirrored. Every jab thrown, he absorbed. He wasn't reacting, he was learning. And once he'd seen enough, he started writing his own story. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It was surgical. He didn't take over all at once. He chipped. He tapped. He touched the body, then the head, then slipped away like a whisper. Fulton's rhythm, once smooth, started to stutter. His footwork tightened. He blinked more. He hesitated. Because Inoue's punches weren't just fast, they were precise. They didn't look wild. They looked inevitable. Each one was a message. Each one said, I know where you're going before you do. By round 3, the momentum had shifted, and you didn't need to be an expert to see it. Fulton, still standing, still swinging, looked concerned. Not broken, but definitely unsure. The kind of unsure that starts in the legs and travels up the spine. He was trying everything, jabbing, moving, adjusting. But Inoue had already solved the equation. And he wasn't solving it with brute force. He was solving it with genius. The crowd in Tokyo stayed locked in, but in Philadelphia, people leaned closer to the screen. The disbelief started to show. Because suddenly, this wasn't just a close fight, this was a masterclass. And their guy, the one with all the belts, was being taken apart. Round 5 came like a warning shot. Inoue stopped analyzing and started punishing. His punches carried more weight. The tempo picked up. And then, a left hook that bent time. It landed flush. The sound echoed through the arena like a dropped anvil. Fulton staggered. The aura cracked, and then came round 6. Fulton, still standing, still trying, looked like a man chasing shadows. Inoue was everywhere, cutting angles, stepping in and out, and bending around the guard. His right hand landed clean. Too clean. Fulton hit the canvas. For the first time in his life, he was down. The world gasped. It wasn't just that he fell. It was who made him fall. The mythical fighter from Japan had just delivered the most devastating moment of his career, and he did it with the calm of a man walking through rain. Fulton got up. Of course he did. He's built that way. But the truth was already written. He didn't get up to win. He got up because that's what fighters do when they still have breath in their lungs and pride in their hearts. But survival doesn't change destiny. Inoue closed in. Not reckless. Not wild. Just certain. A few more punches. A few more truths. And the referee stepped in. It was over. Not just the fight, but the doubt. The narrative. The illusion. After the fight, Fulton did something rare in boxing. He told the truth. He changed his corner. He praised the man who beat him. His ring IQ, he said, is special. And in those words, you could hear it, that silent admission that Naoya Inoue wasn't hype. He wasn't marketing. He wasn't a highlight reel stitched together for YouTube. He was real. But this was not the beginning of Inoue's story in America. That chapter began years earlier, under the California sun, in a place that doesn't hand out cheers to just anyone. March 2017. Carson, California. Naoya Inoue stood in the corner, gloves taped, eyes focused. He was defending his WBO super flyweight title for the 6th time. His opponent, Antonio Nieves, a scrappy, determined American from Cleveland. Proud, hungry, wearing red, white, and blue. He wasn't there to fold. He was there to represent, to show that American toughness still meant something. And early on, he looked good. He moved well. Threw the jab. Tried to find rhythm. For a few fleeting minutes, there was hope. But Inoue was patient. He didn't rush. He didn't chase knockouts. He watched. He scanned. Just like he always does. Then came round 2. And the energy changed. Inoue's hands started moving faster. His feet cut off angles. His punches, sharp, sudden, decisive, found their mark. The crowd began to murmur. It wasn't just power. It was control. Intelligence. A kind of violence that felt thoughtful. By round 3, something else happened. The fans, mostly American, stopped rooting for their guy. Not out of betrayal, but out of awe. They weren't watching a fight anymore. They were watching something else. Something beautiful in its brutality. The body shots came next. Oh, those body shots! Inoue's left hooks sank into Nieves' ribs like spears. They echoed off his organs. They stole his breath. One shot, just one, made Nieves bend in half. He got up. He fought on. But every second, you could see it in his face. He didn't want to be there anymore. And then, round 6. Nieves' corner had seen enough. They threw in the towel. Not to quit, but to protect their fighter. Because that's what you do when you realize your man is standing across from something he can't understand. That night, Inoue didn't just win a fight. He introduced himself to America. Not with trash talk. Not with theatrics. But with skill. With poise. With something that didn't need subtitles or translation. He walked into a country that rarely loves outsiders, and he left with their respect. By the time the rankings came out, he was number 9 on the pound-for-pound list. Quietly climbing. Loudly arriving. And today, Naoya Inoue is more than a name. He's a presence. A force. A reminder that greatness doesn't need noise to be heard. He doesn't beg for attention. He demands it, silently, skillfully, completely. And a sport built on ego, on volume, on declarations shouted from rooftops, Inoue is something different. He's the quiet before the bell. The precision after the storm. The kind of fighter you don't just watch, you feel. And maybe that's why, on that night in Tokyo, America didn't cry because Fulton lost. They cried because they finally understood. The monster was real, and he didn't just come to take a title, he came to take his place in history.